You're listening to the Midlife Plot Twist podcast, and this is episode 12. Hello. Thanks for listening to the Midlife Plot Twist podcast. I'm Jennifer, and this podcast, if you're here for the first time, is about midlife and making bold, brave decisions for ourselves and our future. I'm currently in the process of leaving my career in order to pursue other dreams, and I'm taking you along with me in the hopes that something I'm going through or reflecting on inspires and helps you in your own plot twist somehow. I have to say that 12 episodes in to creating this podcast, I don't entirely know what I'm doing. I'm still finding my groove, but I am enjoying producing it, and I hope you're enjoying listening to these 15-minute-ish tidbits of midlife reflection too. Before I dig into this week's topic for reflection, I want to alert you that there are only 2 days left to access the free Taking Stock of 2025 workshop I created as a holiday gift for you. It's only available until December 31st. You can access it through the link in my Instagram bio or by emailing me for access. It is called Taking Stock of 2025, a year-end midlife reflection. There's a workbook and a recording available for you that revolve around the action of taking some time before the year ends to reflect on the year that we've just finished before entering into the new year ahead. The questions ask you to focus on things like your beliefs about midlife, who you want to become as you progress through midlife, reviewing how you felt this past year, and what you envision for 2026. I hope you gain some clarity as you go through the workshop. As I said, if you haven't yet accessed it, please do so before December 31st by heading over to my Instagram account at Midlife Plot Twist Podcast or email me at midlifeplottwistpodcast@gmail.com for access. Now that we're in the final days of winding down 2025, I'm wondering how you would answer if someone were to ask you, "Hey, Tanya, what's 2025 been like for you?" Or, "Kim, how was 2025 overall?" Or, "Jill, how have you been over this past year?" Or, "Andrea, how did 2025 treat you?" I bet that many of us would simply reply, "Oh, fine." I can say that over the past couple of years, I've replied, "I'm fine," or "things are fine," when I've been in the depths of burnout and going through this major life change that I'm in, this midlife plot twist. We're used to just saying fine most of the time, aren't we? There have also been times in my life where I'm not in crisis or dramatic change or anything like that, and I've said things are fine or I'm fine. Fine is never the full story, is it? When I say I'm fine, it usually means that I'm holding it together. I'm handling responsibilities. I'm capable, well, at least for the most part. I'm capable of dealing with things. Sometimes I might recognize that I'm in survival mode, but overall, I'm used to it now, so it's no big deal. Lately, I've been thinking that there's a subtle or maybe an overt, I don't know, a subtle cost to constantly saying that I'm fine when I'm low-grade exhausted or very exhausted, when I'm emotionally flat, I'm just a little bit irritable and generally numb to life. These moments of being fine, if that's what you mean, are sometimes signals. Right off the bat, I just want to clarify, I'm not here to say that every time we're telling someone that we're fine, it means that there's an underlying big something that needs to change. Sometimes, I admit, fine is just fine. But I'm talking to those of you who, like me, say fine all the time. But we know damn well that there is a vast iceberg under that water surface that could be expressed. But for one reason or another, we stick to just saying fine. Fine, in this case, is a signal that it might be good to check in with ourselves. In that space of low grade exhaustion, emotional flatness, irritability, or numbness, a little question might sometimes rise to the surface of the water. This little question broke off the iceberg under the water and is bobbing at the surface now as a new baby iceberg. And this one is asking, is this it? As we take some time to reflect on how our 2025 was really and what we envision, or as we envision our way into 2026, please pay attention to that little baby iceberg. My midlife plot twist started with this little voice that popped up to the surface to ask, is this it? It terrified me because it called for change, and I knew it. This voice was honest and real and deeply dissatisfied. It's an old voice, a wise voice, a very patient voice, thank goodness, coming up from a part of me that is for no one else but me. And she started asking, is this it? Because she was starting to recognize that the work wasn't what she thought it would be. The exhaustion wasn't worth it. The sacrifices to health were unreasonable. The worries, overdoing, overworking, the routine of day-to-day life were not reflective of a big chunk of who I am. In fact, as I allowed myself to reflect on questions like, what are my values and how do I spend the majority of my time? Does my work and do my activities in life fuel and reflect those values? Am I living a life with purpose and intention? As I asked these questions, I started wanting to listen to that part of myself more, to give her some airtime and listen to her truth for a bit, instead of allowing all the space to go to the voice that insists that we're fine. I think that what I'm starting to get at here is that midlife plot twists aren't always, or are maybe not even usually, a big breakdown, a drama, a heartache, a huge loss. They can be sparked by things like this, by that little voice that just asks, is this it? By noticing that we're constantly just saying we're fine when we're not. That voice might just be like, is this really it for me? The midlife plot twist begins with simple awareness that something is missing. It's the curiosity of what that something is that gets us going. It's the repetition of describing yourself, your job, your marriage or relationships, your life as fine, all the while knowing that you don't really feel that it's fine at all, or that you want more than fine. I was just thinking how strange it would be to ask someone, hey, how's life? And they simply and quite honestly reply, it's really fulfilling. Or life is satisfying right now. I'm working on my dreams. I don't know. I think in general, people would be shocked or think that you're being sarcastic or joking if you answered in this way. And isn't it strange that we live in this world where we can't or don't usually say things like that? It would maybe come across as boastful, or anyways, it would be weird. Similarly, what if someone asked you in passing, hey, how's life? And you reply honestly saying, oh, it's feeling pretty mediocre and I want more than that. Don't worry, I'm not asking us to start breaking the social contract around just answering fine to all of these questions all the time, by being literal and honest. But I am asking you to really be aware of what the true answer would be to these questions that are, these passing questions. Maybe most of us are walking around in a state of just being fine, but I doubt it. But Fine life doesn't have to be it. Actually, I'm thinking about how folks in the 1940s and 50s would use the word fine. Like those old black and white movies, they used to say it more as an adjective meaning very good or of high quality, like that was a very fine performance, or this podcast is some of Jen's finest work. I don't know about that, but anyway, we don't use the word this way much anymore. We use it to describe a state of being generally well or just okay. Anyway, I digress. If you're someone who is starting to recognize that maybe you want just a bit more out of life or that you're feeling a tug towards wanting purpose, fine is usually a sign. You're at a threshold, and I find that very exciting. You're waking up to yourself, or you're becoming inspired, or you've felt the spark of who you are again. I think that's amazing. I want to advocate for 2026, for January and this coming spring especially, as being the season of your awakening. It doesn't have to be bold or dramatic, but allow that baby iceberg to bob along at the surface and pay attention to it. It's beautiful. Maybe you want to have a clear a clear boundary or something. Maybe you want to have clearer no's, like plural of no, not your nose, as you practice new boundaries. Maybe you want a slower pace that you can hear yourself for a second and start to get to know her again. Maybe you're feeling brave enough to trust that your discomfort is telling you something important and you're curious now and you're going to listen to find out what that is. Maybe you want to be more honest with yourself, more than you want the approval of your partner, your kids, your employer, your mom, your dad, your whoever. So as I was saying, my midlife plot twist of leaving my career, I just realized I should have given an update. But anyways, I'm still in the process of this. I think my first episode of January is going to be all about that. So for now, I'll stick to the topic at hand. My midlife plot twist is about leaving my career, returning to school and starting a coaching practice and eventually a private practice for therapy. It all started with me paying attention to the fact that I wasn't fine. I was burned out. I was learning about chronic illness. I was pushing myself to do more, to do better at work, but to what end? And it seemed that it was to the end of my health. So I was anything but fine. Besides, now that I'm in midlife, because I'm in my 40s and I understand how uncertain life is, that our days are not guaranteed, I don't want to live the rest of my life in the survival mode of the first half of my life. Many times of hard work will be for things that I truly believe in. That's what I want. That the majority of my time anyways will be spent on things that I truly believe in. My sacrifices will be made because I value and choose them. My energies will be put to good use, and I will be the one to define what good means in that case. Sometimes that will mean putting my energies to making the comfiest nest I can rest in. Sometimes that will mean writing a book. Sometimes that will mean caring for a family member, tending to my marriage, paying a bill on time, or scheduling a car appointment. Whatever the case may be, I don't want my midlife to be swept up and swept away by tides that are determined by others, by a career, or by another person. That's how I spent the first half of my life, reacting and to others and being swept up in life. And for now, for midlife, I choose to sit comfortably on the shore, maybe with a book, observing the tides and wading into the water when it feels safe and good for me. Before wrapping up this week's episode and before you move on with your day, I want to leave you with a few questions, not to answer right now, but just to notice what pops up, what little baby icebergs develop for you as I ask the questions. Where in my life am I saying fine, but sensing that there is some truth waiting to be expressed underneath it? What is feeling slightly less tolerable in your life right now? What part of me has been quietly asking for attention, rest, honesty, and expression? What could shift if I listened to myself without feeling pressured to act on it just yet? So you don't have to figure out anything today. Just notice what popped up. If this episode struck a chord with you, if it resonated with you, I invite you to stay with the conversation. Follow the podcast. Share this episode with someone who keeps telling you she's fine, but you notice that little baby iceberg that's bobbing at the surface just beneath her words. And join me as we keep exploring what it means to navigate our midlife with honesty, with self-trust, integrity, and compassion. Midlife doesn't ask us to rush into anything, but it does ask us to listen. Okay, that's it for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to access my free resources, one of which is only available until December 31st. And feel free to reach out to me by email with any questions or things you might like to share. Until next week, and Happy New Year! Be well.